everyone could head towards their seats here. We're going to go ahead and officially get things started. Have some introductory lines here, kind of outline how the evening's going to go, and then we will start calling witnesses in the order in which they signed up. So I will hand it off to my colleague here, and we'll get started.
Good evening, everybody. The Ohio Power Siting Board has scheduled for hearing at this time and place case number 25904 ELPGN, which is captioned in the matter of the application of Hill Climber Solar LLC for a certificate of environmental compatibility and public need for a solar facility in Champaign County, Ohio. The subject of today's hearing is an application filed by Hill Climber Solar for the purpose of constructing and operating a 116.5 milliwatt solar power electric generation facility to be located on 1,094 acres of land in Urbana Township, Champaign County, Ohio. My name is Will Grayler, and with me is David Hicks. We are the administrative law judges in the board's legal department, and we'll be conducting today's hearing. I also know that there are several other staff members from the board assisting with various aspects of the hearing. The passage of Senate Bill 52 provides new opportunities for county commissioners and township trustees to participate in the siting of solar projects in their community. County commissioners may choose one commissioner or a designee to serve as an ad hoc board member. In addition, township trustees may choose one trustee or a designee to serve as their ad hoc board member. The Champaign County Commissioners have appointed Julia Johnson to serve as its representative. Julia's over there. And Urbana Township has appointed Matt Harrigan as their representative.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming tonight.
I'll just use a loud voice. Can everybody hear me?
At this time, we will take the appearances by the parties in the case who are here and intend to participate tonight. We will begin with the applicant.
Thank you, Your Honor. On behalf of the applicant, Dylan Borchers and Lila Aya, the law firm of Brooker, Creighton, Wyatt, 100 South 3rd Street, Columbus, Ohio, 43205. There's also a project representative here, Hackett Lendefeld, who's available to answer questions for folks who may have them after the hearing.
Thank you. We will now take the appearance of any of the two interveners in this case that intend to participate as parties this evening.
Good evening. My name is Jane Napier. I'm an assistant prosecutor here in Champaign County. My office represents both the Champaign County Board of Commissioners and the Urbana Township Board of Trustees.
Thank you. I also note that the board staff filed a report of investigation on May 8th, 2026. This report is a recommendation from the board staff and does not necessarily reflect what the board's final determination in this case will be. The purpose of today's public hearing is to receive testimony regarding Hill Climber Solar's application from entities and persons in the local community who are affected by the proposed project. The public hearing is not a question and answer session, but is an opportunity to let the board know what you think about the proposed project. Today's public hearing is only one aspect of the process in this case. An evidentiary hearing is scheduled to begin on May 26, 2026, as described in the ALJ entry issued on April 1st, 2026. The purpose of the evidentiary hearing is for the parties in this case, including the applicant, the interveners, and the board staff, to provide testimony and other evidence regarding the project. Tonight's hearing is being transcribed by a court reporter. If you plan to testify, please speak clearly so that the court reporter can accurately reflect your comments on the record. Please make sure that you verbally respond to all questions asked so that your responses can be properly transcribed. To assist the court reporter in creating a clear record and to facilitate the large number of witnesses that wish to testify, we ask that you refrain from speaking in the crowd, clapping, or other behavior that could be distracting. After I finish with this introduction, I will begin by calling individuals on the signing list to testify about the proposed project. Each person who signed up to testify will be permitted to speak once about the project. We will ask you to take an oath or affirmation that what you are about to say is the truth. Your testimony will then be considered as part of the official record in this case and will be reviewed by the board before a final decision is made on the application. Should you decide that you do not want to testify, when I call your name from the registration list, you can pass to the next witness. If you decide that you prefer to file written comments in the case, representatives from the board are here and they can provide you with instructions on how to file comments in the case document. Also, as you probably saw when you walked in tonight, our staff has sign sheets you can sign to show either your support or opposition of the project. Once you have finished testifying, or if you are here to merely observe, you may leave the hearing whenever you choose. The board appreciates your participation in tonight's hearing. We want everyone who intends to testify to have an opportunity to do so. For that reason, we ask that you please keep your statement to a reasonable length of time, which is no more than 3 minutes. We don't mean to be rude or cut off a person's right to express themselves, but in order to show courtesy to all speakers, we will strictly enforce this time limit. I have here a sign that we will flash when there are 30 seconds remaining in your allotted time as a warning to begin wrapping up your testimony. I do want to remind everyone of their right to file public comments in the case even after tonight. And board staff who you met at the door will be pleased to answer any questions you might have as to that process. At this time, we're going to begin with the testimony by calling our first witness. As we call each witness, we'll swear you in, confirm name and address, determine if you live or work in the project area, and confirm whether you are an intervener in this case. With that, I'm going to pass the mic to David. We're going to get going.
Thank you, and then just to add on, you're sworn in to provide your testimony. Once you're finished, counsel for either the applicant or the state here, if they have questions for you, we'll have the opportunity to ask you questions, or if you have questions from the bench. Once that's concluded, then you will be finished. And you can go ahead and proceed with your, I'll also note in the introduction we talked about confirming whether you're an intervener in the case. That may not be as big an issue here since the two interveners are the county board trustees. And I think cited separately for those if something should arise where someone is an intervener and is testifying, if you could just flag that for us, that would help things move a little quicker, help me from having to ask certain questions as I'm swearing you in. With that, we can go ahead and get started. First on the list is Shana Fritz, and on deck will be James Cropper. I'll also go ahead and give a blanket apology if I butcher any names as I try to read the sign-in sheet. So please do take offense.
Thank you. Yes.
Could you please state and spell your name for the record?
Yes. Shana, Shayna, Fritz, Fritz.
Could you please provide your address?
620 East Broad Street, Columbus, Ohio, 43215.
Do you live or work in the project
No.
area? Please go ahead with your testimony.
Hello, my name is Shana Fritz, and I'm the Executive Director of the Ohio Conservative Energy Forum. I'm here today in strong support of Hill Climber Solar and urge the Ohio Power Siting Board to approve this project, as it does fall within what should be the true definition of public interest. Ohio families and businesses are feeling the pressure of rising energy costs. Electricity rates have climbed steadily, and ratepayers are struggling. In fact, starting June 1, electricity bills will rise again. What is within the public's interest is clear. We need more generation on our grid, and we need it now. Hill Climber Solar directly answers that call. Solar projects are constructed to produce power at a predictable, low-cost rate that is not subject to fuel price markets. It's energy that is made with U.S. technology. In fact, Ohio is home to two of the largest solar panel manufacturers in the nation. Approving Hill Climber is a decision that protects consumers today and for decades to come. Beyond cost, there is a reliability imperative. PJM, the grid operator that keeps lights on for 65 million people, including all of Ohio, no matter who your utility is, you are part of PJM, has been sounding the alarm about a capacity shortfall, 6.6 gigawatts exact. That is exactly enough power for roughly 5 million homes. Retirements of aging plants are outpacing the addition of new generation. PJM has been explicit. We need new megawatts, and we need them now. Hill Climber Solar represents exactly the kind of new capacity we need to maintain grid reliability. Failing to approve projects like this is not one that is made with a neutral decision. It's a decision to leave the grid short and continuing to force Ohioans to pay high energy bills. Some will argue that we should wait for natural gas or nuclear generation instead. I want to address that directly. The supply chain shortages for natural gas are real. The wait times for a natural gas turbine, pipeline permitting, and construction mean that a new natural gas plant approved today will not produce a single electron for roughly 7 to 9 years. The most recent nuclear plant built in Georgia took 7 years longer than initially planned for and was $17 billion over budget. We cannot ask Ohio ratepayers to continue to wait that long for relief. We cannot ask grid operators to count on generation that won't exist when they need it, which is now. Solar, by contrast, can be constructed and producing power on a faster timeline. Hill Climber is ready to move. Finally, I want to note something that should give this board pause. The level of public interest is not taken into account when permitting other forms of generation. Not natural gas, not coal plant life extensions, not nuclear. I want to make that especially clear. Local communities do not have the power to reject natural gas, nuclear, or oil should a project be proposed in their area. That being said, this disparity should not be confused with a disparity in the merit of generation source. The evidence supports solar as a contender in the energy market. The grid needs solar. Ohioans need the rate relief solar can provide. Hill Climber is in the public interest, and I respectfully urge the board to approve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from?
I did not catch, who are you here on behalf?
The Ohio Conservative Energy Forum.
Are you employed by?
I work for the Ohio Conservative Energy Forum. I'm not employed by the developer.
I know. Are you employed by the?
Ohio Conservative Energy Forum, yes, nonprofit.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Up next is James Cropper, and on deck will be Terry Rittenhouse.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth?
I do.
Please state and spell your name for the record.
James Cropper, Cropper,
And could you please provide your address, including the township?
527 Railroad Street, Urbana, 43078.
Do you live or work in the project area?
I work in the area, yes.
Okay, please go ahead with the testimony.
I'm not going to shoot a bunch of numbers. I just want to say the fact that God gave us a very limited amount of resources. There are things that we cannot more of, no matter how hard we try, and that's land and water. Taking, I think you said 1,000 acres or something like that of farmland to companies who aren't even from here, they're going to be our backs. To, I believe, like even other countries, other states matter. What this does, it takes money away from Champaign County and Urbana. It takes food off the tables of the farmers who utilize that land, and we can't get that back. So I'm encouraging to vote no, because it's taking up way too much of the natural resources that we have. I'm not even worried about the eyesore, but 1,000 acres of farmland, especially here, it's not okay. It's never going to be okay. Not okay with anybody taking money out of our community and out of the mouth of the farmers who farm it.
One second. Any questions? Okay, thank you. Next is Terry Rittenhouse. On deck is Amy.
I do.
Spell your name for the record.
My name is Terry Rittenhouse, TerryRittenhouse, 1906 North Ludlow Road, Urbana, Ohio, 43078.
Do you live or work within the project area?
I own real estate within the project area.
Please go ahead when you're ready.
My history and experience with renewable energy dates back to 2007. When EverPower Renewable came to Champaign County with great promises of the benefits to man and mankind, if only we would acquiesce to their superior wisdom and knowledge and give them unprecedented. You got a good mic, guys? Can we start over? My history and experience with renewable energy dates back to 2007, when EverPower Renewables came to Champaign County with great promises of the benefits to man and mankind, if only we would acquiesce to their superior wisdom and knowledge and give them unprecedented and unfettered access to our most valuable resources, our land, our people, and our future. And here I am again today, almost 20 years later, to continue to fight for our land, people, and future. You can put an end to it today. We ask that you do. Deny the application of RWE. Over the last 19 years, I have supported Union Neighbors United to preserve the rural character of Champaign County. I gave both written and in-person testimony multiple times at Ohio Power Siting Board meetings. It was under the Strickland administration that local zoning was preempted. That was a long time ago. But since that time, I and others in this county have never stopped working to get back local control. Several bills were introduced in the legislature to get control restored, and I testified in the legislature on every one of them, leading to the passage of Senate Bill 52. An important part of SB 52 was requiring the OPSB to make a finding that a project serves the public interest. This is what you have to do in the Hill Climber Solar Project, and I challenge you to make such a finding when this county has an unbroken 19-year record of opposing utility-scale wind and solar because it does not fit the interest of Champaign County. This opposition is evidenced throughout the Champaign County Comprehensive Use Plan, and further evidence can be seen in the adoption of township resolutions in every single Champaign County township prohibiting the construction of utility-scale wind and solar. Our county commissioners adopted the map of exclusion, and only a technicality allowed RWE to file. So what? Our comprehensive use plan that was adopted in 2020 and is substantial proof that Hill Climber Solar is not in the public interest. For RWE to continue in the face of such obvious and consistent opposition says something about the company. Why would we want to partner with this company for the next 40 years? Why would we have faith in their promises to maintain roads, preserve topsoil, provide effective vegetation screening, or fully fund the decommissioning bond? Why do we think their LLC will even be here in 2066? What a terrible legacy to bequeath our children and grandchildren. Thank you for your careful consideration of our community's plea for the rejection of a plan developed by a foreign entity with the participation of absentee landowners. Thank you.
Thanks to Amy Knieven, and on deck will be Brad Winter II.
Yes, sir. Amy?
Test.
Thank you. Knieven, AMYKNUEVEN.
And do you please provide your address?
4076 Urbana Moorfield Road, Urbana, Ohio. I do live in the project area. Thank you. Planning Board, thank you for allowing me to express my concerns about the Hill Climber Solar Project. I've lived in my residence for 30 years. I specifically chose this location for the quiet, peaceful country setting with the flat, open natural prairies. I can look out my picture window, enjoy the beautiful tree line, the undisturbed view of the sunrise, and the nighttime view of unpolluted starlight. I also can watch my neighbors work the land to grow corn, soybeans, and cabbage. Harvest is a joyful time, and our county fair is the place to be as we show off our produce and our livestock. I think this reflects the essence of what we call rural character. We've always known that our rural would continue for generations because Champaign County Comprehensive Land Use Plan states preservation of our rural character is one of the highest priorities. In fact, here's a direct quote from our #1 priority from the plan on page 4. Preservation of farmland resources, promotion of agricultural through public education and tourism events, protection of water quality, and economic environment supportive of diverse crops. After reviewing our plan, it was shocking to me that RWE claimed that the industrial solar facility was compatible with existing and anticipated land uses in the surrounding area. Worse yet, the staff said they agreed with RWE. I'll tell you, it's impossible to read our local vision for the future and come up with that conclusion. Our land use plan is documented evidence that Hill Climber Solar should be rejected based on criteria #2, the nature of probable environmental impact, and contrary #6, public interest, convenience, necessity. If you have not read our plan, I urge you to do so. The plan is a product of thoughtful process which gathered significant local input. It underlines much of the local criticism of Hill Climber Solar. We appreciate that the Ohio Power Siting Board staff has recommended denial of Hill Climber Solar based on local opposition and criteria #6. The project does not serve public interest because it is contrary to who we are and what we do as documented in our land use plan. You should also conclude that it would cause harmful environmental impacts on criteria #2. In conclusion, I am outraged that this project is trying to be advanced when the community has repeatedly expressed these projects are not necessary and not wanted. Our tax dollars are being utilized repeatedly to fight battles that we have been rejected in the past. I would hope that members of the Power Siting Board will feel the same way if their property, livelihood, and rural way of life were placed at similar risk. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Brad Winter II, on deck, Andy Rose. Correct? Yes.
Test. Legal name John J-O-H, Brad B-R-A-D, Winter W-I-N-N-E-R II, 551 South Dugan Road, Ohio 43078 in Urbana Township.
Do you live or work in the project area?
I live approximately a mile from the project area. Thank you for the opportunity tonight and for recommending denial of the Hill Climber Solar Project. I appreciate that you have found the project does not serve the public interest, but having lived within 3 miles of Pretty Prairie most of my life, and currently living a little over from the project area, I have a pretty good familiarity with the land and the people, and I think that there are some that have yet to be acknowledged in the staff report. Understand that our current zoning laws do not entirely allow us to control our own township in regard to this project. You call it a grandfathered project based on the date the grid operator, PJM, issued an interconnection system impact study. I guess we could debate that since there were so many changes and updates and the addition of the battery facility, that the project today really doesn't resemble the project described when first submitted to PJM. PJM assigned Hill Climber the number 82305 in their planning queue. If I go to the PJM website to find the system impact study for 82305, I find that the report was released on October 1st, 2024, 3 years after the magic grandfather date, October 11th, 2021, when Senate Bill 52 became effective. This is because PJM updated their case model. If I understand this correctly, Hill Climber was grandfathered in on the basis of an old case study impact model that PJM threw out in favor of the current case study model. The real system impact study has a 2024 date. The Urbana Township resolution to prohibit utility scale solar was adopted in 2022, well before the system impact study date. This feels an awful lot like tipping the scale in favor of RWE and their shareholders, and further strengthens our community's opposition to this project. So for the record, I challenge the real date of the system impact study. And if I'm able to submit this to you, I have attached the PJM system impact study for 82305 to document my concern. Thank you.
Any questions from council?
No questions.
Thank you. You can leave that to court. So here on deck is Tony B. I can't exactly the last name. Please raise your hand. Do you swear to the truth?
I do.
Please state, spell your name correct.
It's Andrea Grow, GROW, ANDREA. Is this? Am I on? You are the official mic master. There we go. Thank you. My name is Andrea Grow. I do have farmland on Urbana Moorfield Pike, which is within the area of the projected, whatever this is. I grew.
Could you provide your address for
Sure. It's 4525 Flatfoot Road, Cable, Ohio, 43009. My farm is on 4401 Urbana Moorfield Pike, which is right within the zone that you're working in.
that it is within the project area?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead when you're ready.
I grew up on Moorfield Road, and I have 2 children that are getting ready to build on our property so that we can pass down our legacy to our children and our grandchildren. And it breaks my heart to think that there is going to be fields and fields of glass panels surrounding my children and grandchildren when they go outside to play. I am very upset. I didn't realize the impact of solar farm until I went to Herod, Ohio last week to look at it. And I really recommend that everybody go look and see what they're trying to plan to put in our community. In Herod, Ohio, there are acres and acres of solar fields. And it looks like a dystopian junkyard. It's horrific. At the beautiful countryside and see all these glass panels glare in your eyes, and it's just, I wanted to go over some detriments of solar panels that I don't think people realize. My husband and I are beekeepers. We've kept bees for 40 years. And to do away with this much farmland is going to destroy the pollination fields of all kinds of insects, butterflies, birds. 1.25 million acres of farmland has been confiscated for the production of these solar farms. And I don't want to be part of that. We live in a rural community. We're proud of our community. We have beautiful farmland that impacts the lives of all the people who live here. We've lost 25% of all the butterflies since 1999. I don't think people understand what's happening. We're being systematically destroyed as a country through technology. Technology is not always good. 3 billion birds since 1970 and 34% of our bees. Einstein predicted that if the bee population was destroyed, the entire planet would die within 4 years. That's something to think about, and that's why we keep trying to propagate bees and keep them going in our community and in our area. If we get rid of this farmland, then you're going to destroy the environment that these bees and pollinators live in. Who's going to pollinate all the crops around? If you destroy the economy and the ecosystem, these 100 acres, then you're going to potentially destroy farms in the area. The panel glaze, there's just so many things that we could about the decrease in property values around, which does impact my family. 6.9 is the percent, is the typical value property. I want to thank you for letting at least express, but I hope that everybody takes a look at what's going on.
Thank you. Next is Tony B.
Hi, I'm Tony Zartman with a Z. T-O-N-Y.
Please state and spell your name for the record and
My name is Tony Zartman, T-O-N-Y, Z-A-R-T-M-A-N. I live at 4376 Road 33 in Payne, Ohio, 45880.
do you live or work in the project area?
I do not. Hi, as I stated, my name is Tony Zartman. I am here on behalf of Property Rights Ohio. In a previous life, I served as Paulding County Commissioner for 12 years. Tonight, though, I'm here to speak about property rights with you. At its core, this case is not complicated. This is about whether a landowner in Champaign County has the right to decide how their land is used, or whether that decision can be taken away by others who don't own it. For generations, we have understood something pretty simple in Ohio. If you own your land, you have the right to use it. You have the right to lease it and benefit from it. That includes farming it, that includes renting it, and yes, that includes entering into a lease agreement for energy development. What we are seeing now is a growing effort to restrict these rights, not through compensation, not through negotiation, but through denial. And that should concern every property owner in this state, whether they support this project or not. Because once we decide that a landowner cannot use their property for a lawful purpose, not because of harm, but because of opposition, we fundamentally changed what ownership means. And let's be clear, this isn't just about principle. This is about real economic impact. For many landowners, these lease payments represent stable, long-term income, the ability to keep land in the family, a way to withstand volatile commodity prices, and in some cases, the difference between holding on and selling out. When that opportunity is taken away, it doesn't just disappear. It is taken from one group of Ohioans and redistributed to satisfy the preferences of others. This is not how property rights are supposed to work. I've seen this firsthand in Paulding County. When landowners were allowed to participate in energy development, the results were clear. Stronger local revenue, more resilient farms, and communities that benefit not just from the projects themselves, but from the financial stability they brought. The board has an important responsibility, not just to evaluate projects, but to uphold the fundamental rights of the people who own the land. The question before you isn't whether everyone agrees, it's whether a landowner has the right to make a decision about their property. I would urge you to respect those rights, because once they're taken away, they're very difficult to return.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Thank you for your testimony. Up next is Brad Winter. On deck is Joanne Massey. Swear or affirm that the testimony is true?
Yes. John, John, Bradley, Bradley, Winter, Winner, also known as Brad Winter Sr.
Could you please provide your address, including any township?
Yes. I live at 277 South Dugan Road, property in Urbana Township, residence and land in the township.
Okay. So do you live or work in the project area?
Within a mile. Thank you for the opportunity to speak and for recommending denial of the Hill Climber project. How valid was your acceptance of the Hill Climber application when they did not not have control of the properties represented to compromise the project area. RWE has not obtained all of the property rights and permits required for the defined project area after 6 years, according to information on file at the county recorder's office. As a part of ethical transparency and the law, solar developers should record leases or option agreements for land so prospective home and land buyers can understand how neighboring land may be encumbered. A review of documents at the recorder's office raised some significant concerns that should have prevented you from accepting the application as complete. For example, 2 parcels owned by Hearthstone Farms were leased to EverPower Wind in 2008. In 2017, a lease option agreement was signed with EverPower Solar for one of the 2 parcels. On January 2nd, 2019, the 2 wind lease options were terminated. As of Monday, May 11th, unlike the 160-acre parcel under lease for solar, we cannot find the 159-acre parcel in the file as leased or under control of RWE. This same 159-acre parcel has a pivot in the field. RWE has represented the pivot will be removed in preparation for construction, but how can they do that if they don't have control of the parcel? Also, Bowers Land, called Patty's Patch, a 160-acre tract on Dolly Varden Road. On file, there's a memorandum of option agreement for land lease and solar easement signed on July 29th, 2019, for a term of 3 years with 3 one-year extensions. That means the lease option and extensions expired in July 29th, 2025. No additional extensions are on file. Finally, there's a significant amendment to the option agreement for land lease solar easement to Channel Farms on August 12th, 2025, a second amendment recorded for the Channel properties. For a payment of $25,000, the owner option was extended until March 22nd, 2026. No other records at the recorder's office indicate there is a viable lease option in place. So, what are we doing here if much of the land represented to be in the project area is not under the control of RWE? The staff report addresses a project area whose definition looks irrelevant.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Thank you, sir. Up next is Joanne Massey. On deck is Barbara Healy. You swear or affirm that the testimony about to provide is true?
I do. Joanne Massey, Joanne Massey. I live at 2241 Dolly Varden Road, Urbana 43078, and it's in Urbana Township.
Do you live or work in the project area?
I live in it. Okay, my husband and I, we've lived there 32 years. Excuse me. We're the 5th owners. My home was built 1847. It's my understanding that it was the homestead of the Pretty Prairie Farm with approximately 350 acres. I use the word home instead of house because it's not a house to me. It is part of me. We felt it was a wonderful place to raise our children. It's a wonderful place right now. We chose it because of the tranquility, the beautiful sights, the crops growing, and wildlife wandering. It's wonderful for children. It probably was part of the Underground Railroad because there's a tunnel that goes from my cellar down to the pump house in the middle of my field. It has hiding places in the attic and cellar where people hid while attempting to reach freedom. I'm able to look out my living room windows and watch the fields grow and deer graze. My husband passed in 2025, but for the last 3.5 years, he was bedridden. His bed was strategically placed so he was able to have a beautiful view down the drive across the road. He was able to watch the wildlife across the road and in our fields, along with corn and soybeans growing. The old cliche comes to mind now with what is being planned. He would roll over in his grave, all that destroyed, because that is what will happen. I was told a buffer of trees would be planted to hide the solar panels. My house is on a hill. There is nothing you can build high enough to hide the side of the panels from my house. In fact, all I would be able to see are solar panels. Solar companies claim that solar projects have a low impact on the land and surrounding property owners. I strongly disagree. The solar panels alone allow destruction of nature, wildlife, and farmland. It's my understanding that the panels last approximately 30 years, and at that time it's the owner's obligations to clean them up and then for another 30 years, farming can resume on the ground. It is also my understanding that 3 of the 5 owners don't live on the land, so why should they care? It is taking the livelihood of many people here. Just in my case, the gentleman that mows my yard will lose his livelihood as he tends the farm across the road. The farmer that farms my land will also lose the land across the road, and his livelihood is hindered also. I'm required to hire people to take care of my land, but I'm just a small fish. But just with the 2 families are losing livelihood here. I just hope that the board will feel the same way if their livelihood and property was in jeopardy and had to live daily looking at a solar farm. Thank you.
And then correctly on deck is Kathy Williams.
Yes.
If you would state, spell your name for the record.
Barbara Beeling, B-A-R-B-A-R-A, B-E-H-L-I-N-G, 4730 East County Line Road, Springfield, but it's in Urbana Township,
And do you live or work?
about 2 miles from the project.
Go ahead when you're ready.
I want to talk about good places and bad places to put things. Both the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Ohio Farm Bureau actively discourage placing industrial facilities on prime farmland. The USDA states large-scale solar should utilize lower quality agricultural land or brownfields to minimize impact on prime farmland. And the Ohio Farm Bureau says in order to alleviate pressure on farmland, the use of the Ohio Brownfield Remediation Program, which provides aid to clean brownfield sites for redevelopment, should be considered. So both the federal government and the Ohio Farm Organization agree lower quality land in brownfields are a good place and prime farmland is a bad place for industrial facilities. In addition, construction of a solar facility can permanently impact the leased farm, surrounding farms, and nearby homes. Concerns identified at other solar facilities include soil erosion, runoff, and changes to water discharge. Also, plastic and metal fragments may be left in the soil. Leaching of chemicals from damaged solar panels is a documented occurrence. Companies say that they will not remove, but will preserve the farm's topsoil. But at some other solar sites, the contractor covered all the topsoil with sand, basically destroying its productivity. Another concern comes from an EPA statement that says, depending on the type of panel, solar panel waste could be considered hazardous waste. So close to other farms and residences is a bad place for industrial solar. Finally, once prime farmland is used for a solar plant, that land might never be productive as it once was. Solar companies say conversion back to productive farmland is doable, but there are cases where the land does not go back to row cropping, but instead must be used for pasture or some other specialized agriculture. In other words, it cannot be put back to its original use. So do we want to gamble that after 40 years, we might get some of this vital farmland back? I say no, we do not. Again, prime farmland is a bad place for industrial solar. I urge the board to thoughtfully consider all the negative impacts of siting Hill Climber Solar on Champaign County prime farmland. It truly is a bad place. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're giving?
I do.
Could you please state and spell your name for the record?
My name is Kathy Williams. I live at 1700 East State Route 296, Urbana, Ohio, 43078. I work in Urbana Township though.
Is that within the project area?
A couple miles from it. My family owns Williams Hardware here in town. We have known and served the farmers and residents of Pretty Prairie for 2 generations. The prospect of a utility-scale solar and battery plant in Urbana Township will hurt our friends and neighbors. For us, any bump in business from the construction phase will be temporary. The potential loss of business from the people who live and farm in Urbana Township will be forever. When you talk about entering a partnership with someone for the next 40 years, it stands to reason you better know what you're getting into. Like a marriage, a long-term partnership requires trust. I think it speaks for all of my I think I speak for all of my colleagues opposing the Hill Climbers project that there is, why should there be? RWE describes our pretty prairie as a part of Springfield. They say the economic injury to the local public doesn't mean much. It doesn't mean much.
Where these projects are placed matters. Huge industrial solar farms do not belong in the middle of the beautiful farmland and in small rural communities like ours. This project would be almost right out my family's front door. Once this land is changed, it will never go back to the way it was before. The fields, the views, the wildlife, the peaceful feeling of our town could be gone for generations. Adults talk a lot about protecting the future for kids, and I'm asking you tonight to protect the future for kids like me. Please think about the people who live here, not just the companies that want to profit from our land. We are not just serving this town for its beauty, nature, and community, not rows of industrial panels covering the countryside. Please listen to the families, farmers, and children who love this place. Please vote no on this solar project. Thank you for your time.
After Renata Stalkup, we'll have Caleb.
Renata Stalkup.
You please raise your hand.
I live almost across the street from them. Yes. Renata, R-E-N-A-U-T-A, Stalkup, S-T-A-L-L-C-U-P. I live at 4258 Urbana-Moorfield Road, Urbana Township, 43078.
Do you reside within the project area?
Yes. I live almost across the street from the proposed solar farm. I'm here to ask you to consider the people who live here and have been fighting so hard to stop this project for so long. I love this town and do not want to see it destroyed by companies that have no vested interest in our town. This land is surrounded by generations of families that it is going to affect. Also, all the farms surrounding that will be impacted as well. Please listen to the community, homeowners, and farmers that do not want this. We do not want some out-of-towners who do not care coming in and changing our landscape and environment. Please hear our voices tonight. Thank you.
After Caleb Nick, we have Beth Michael Harrigan. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to the truth?
I do.
Can you please state and spell your name?
Caleb Nipp, C-A-L-E-B, K-N-I-P-P.
Could you please state your address, including township?
216-45157.
Do you live or work in the
Work. I'm here tonight as a representative of the Central Midwest Carpenters Union, representing the contractors and the EPCs of the installation of renewable projects. As a member of a farming family, second generation livestock producers, I definitely see where everyone's coming from and understand the concerns. But as a representative of our members, I mean, we have thousands of skilled, trained members that live within the area that could work on the project. But at the time, like, as a large supporter of land, right? But for the most part, keeping the jobs local, keeping the trades skilled, keeping good wages and benefits for individuals building the project is our focus. Tax revenue local. A lot of these projects, a lot of out-of-town contractors, and RWE is a reputable developer to use companies that doesn't practice 1099 tax fraud, misclassification. So the main thing for us is to support that if the project does happen, make sure that it's done correctly and provide back to local.
Indicated that you live in New Richmond, Ohio.
Yes, ma'am.
What county is that in?
Claremont.
And is that in eastern Ohio?
Southeast.
About how far is that from Champaign County?
An hour and a half.
You had indicated that you work in township?
Yeah, so I'm a representative of Carpenters Union, all 50 states, Canada, and Puerto Rico, but in our district, I do cover the area for our contractors and employees.
Okay, you had indicated there would be local people working on, do you have anyone in your union that is residing in Champaign County?
So roughly, I want to say right around like 100 that are within Champaign and adjoining counties, like within driving distance of a normal job site. But we're right at 37,000.
So do you currently have a contract with this project? Do you have any contracts in that you're aware of?
Next, we have Beth Michael Harrigan, Nicole Doyle. Please raise your right hand. I swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth.
state and spell your name for the record.
Beth, Beharrigan, 5089 Urbana, Moorfield, Urbana, Ohio, Urbana Township, and I own property and work directly across the road. I've worked in this township my entire life, less than 4 years spent. I'd like to thank the board for listening to our concerns and the staff for the recommendation of a denial of this particular project. I submitted a letter in opposition addressing the issues of the taking of the fertile farmland and the devaluation of my beautiful property. This proposed project negatively affects all of my neighbors, my children and grandchildren, and 17 family members that live or work within a 1 mile radius of this project. There were only 28 letters in support batch filed on 5 different days as of yesterday, and half were from outside the township or the county, with many citing property rights as the reason they're in support. Who in this room truly has the ability to do whatever they wish with their property? If this were true, there would be no need for zoning laws, which I used to believe would protect us. The fact that the USDA has stopped funding solar projects on productive farmland as of May is reason enough for me to be very concerned, but I'm also concerned about the heat island effect. The studies that are tied to the green energy wagon and those done by universities and posted on various websites all admit to a heat island effect similar to those found in urban areas, citing a 3 to 4 degrees Celsius increase, especially at night. But where they differ in opinion based on model studies as to how far the site air temperature increase reaches. The energy sites use words like often returning to near ambient levels at 100 feet, versus other research uses usually within 300 meters, which is 984 feet and much further than 100 feet. Although 7 degrees higher evening temperature may not be noticed by a soybean or field corn plant, it can do monumental damage to vegetable crops, which have been traditionally adjacent to this proposed project for over 50 years. To a green bean field, 7 degrees warmer at night can mean blossom drop, causing a 75% crop reduction. For a potato field during tuber initiation, at weeks 5 through 8 in this area, 7 degrees increase could cause deformities, high yield loss, and disease. With sweet corn, for every 1 degree increase in nighttime air temperature, there is a potential yield decline of 4.7 bushels an acre, which would amount to 82,840 ears lost if the change only reached the 984 feet from the panels. Sustainability is not all about green energy. It's about sustaining our capability to produce food, keep the environment healthy, and preserve natural resources. Unrestrained developments of solar arrays over productive farmland undermine these values.
Doyle, followed by Kristen Mays.
Please state and spell your name for the record.
My name is Nicole Doyle.
Here's your word.
My name is Nicole Doyle. I live at 2757 State Route 54. We are directly adjacent to the project. My name is Nicole Doyle, and I live and I raise my children, and I own and I operate the Shire Farm. This project would surround portions of our farm to the south and to the east, and fundamentally changing landscape and environment that we depend upon every day. We are being asked to sacrifice productive agricultural land for an industrial scale energy project that does not meaningfully benefit our local community. Based upon USDA pricing and estimated production, these 846 acres currently represent nearly $1 million per year in agricultural revenue before we include inflation. That revenue is generated from our land by our farmers supporting local families and local businesses. When our local farmers earn income, those dollars stay here. They're spent here, and they are respent within our community, at feed stores, at equipment dealers, at restaurants, local service providers, schools, and small businesses. In contrast, this project is owned by a foreign corporation that is headquartered in Germany. The long-term profits generated from this land will largely leave our local community and leave our local economy instead of strengthening it. Our agricultural land is, in and of itself, a valuable and finite resource. Once industrialized in this way, the rural character of our community changes for decades, at the very least. I have repeatedly spoken with the RWE project manager about the use of agrivoltaics in this project, which would allow livestock grazing and to have some continued agricultural use beneath the panels as a way to preserve some of the productive use of this land if the project moves forward. Despite those discussions, there has been no meaningful movement towards incorporating those practices into this project. Beyond the economic concerns, this project would greatly impact my family and our farming operations. Large-scale solar installations alter the ground conditions, heat absorption, and surrounding environmental patterns. We are concerned about the impacts to our farms' microclimates, the humidity level, and the ecological systems. This is not an abstract issue for us. We live here, we work here, we raise our children here, and we are building the future here. I ask the board to carefully consider whether permanently converting productive farmland into an industrial infrastructure, the long-term interests of our local community. Thank you.
Mays, followed by Mike Mays. Please raise your hand. You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes.
Please state and spell your name for the record.
My name is Kristen Mays.
Sorry, my name is Kristen Mays, Kristinmays, and I reside in Urbana Township.
Do you live or work within the project area?
I live surrounded by the project. Thank you. Good evening, and I thank you for allowing everyone to speak. I'm here to start this industrial solar project and battery storage facility, which would, as I surround our home and property that we've owned since 1999. We do not farm, but we chose to be surrounded by farmland. An industrial scale development does not belong around established homes, family properties, and fertile farmland. People moved here for peace, open space, and the ability to enjoy their property, not to be surrounded by acres of solar panels, fencing, and industrial equipment for the next 30 to 40 years. This is not a small community project. This is an industrial development, and it will permanently change the character of Pretty Prairie. Supporters of this project talk about clean energy and community benefits, but they are not the ones being asked to live beside it every single day. Nearby homeowners will carry the burden. Reduced views, construction and maintenance activity, elevated noise levels, my property specifically, as well as a few others, concerns about drainage and runoff, uncertainty about, for many of us, within and around the project, our homes are our retirement, our legacy, and our largest financial investment. No one can guarantee that surrounding homes with an industrial solar facility will not negatively affect property values or make homes harder to sell or virtually impossible in some cases. In fact, since learning of this project, I have asked numerous people if they would want this project surrounding their property. And as of today, I have no positive responses. If this project is approved, the people living beside and around it will be the ones left dealing with the consequences. I also believe local residents deserve more consideration than out-of-town developers and corporate energy companies whose primary goal is profit. Our community should not be transformed into an industrial energy zone at the expense of the families who already live here. I urge you to deny this project and protect the people, homes, farmland, and the character of Pretty Prairie. Thank you.
Following Mike Mays, we have Kathy Sponheim. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes.
Could you please state and spell your name for the record?
Mike Mays, MikeMays.
Could you please state your address, including township, please?
3450 State Route 54, and as my wife just said, we are surrounded by this project. Even looking at the paper that everybody has, we are, first of all, most people here know me as a teacher, which I also coach. I'm also a little offended as far as using the hill climber name. I've been a proud hill climber since 1988. That upset me from the beginning. But just a little bit about myself. I grew up in a rural community. I value living in where things are open, you have nature around you, and having a quiet home and quiet property. 1999. And the main thing that really attracted us to the property was that we were away from towns and cities. We lived in Springfield, and we didn't like having neighbors so close. So we had an area where we really didn't have very many close neighbors, and we loved that about it. We have raised 2 sons who grew up on our property, or 4 little acres, and I have 3 granddaughters who I hope will enjoy it just as because we have tremendous view of nature, and we just love sound, because there's really, whatever sounds are made. My granddaughter was just at my house today talking about hearing the birds. That probably won't be something she'd be hearing as much, but having the sounds from the project. We bought the property so we could make it something to be proud of and something that can pass down to our family, and they feel they would want that. And one of the things, and I'm just going to say this, I attended one of the first public meetings last fall and picked up as much information as I possibly could. The thing that disturbed me the most was the projection of the project on the wall, which showed my 4 acres being practically swallowed up by this huge project. And it was on the wall for all of us, and I had lots of people come up and you know, just tell me how sorry they were for, you know, just seeing what was up there. We had met with them, and one of the proposals that was presented to Chris and I was the idea of ensuring that RWE would guarantee the property value of our home for up to 10 years. My question is, who would want to buy it? Having the solar farm surrounding your property and within 200 feet of my property line would not help me sell my land. I don't know how many people would see that.
No questions, John.
Thank you. Following Kathy Sponheim, we'll have Thomas Ross. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth? Please state your name first.
My name is Kathy Sponheim, Sponheim. I live at 2620 State Route 54, Urbana, Ohio, 43078. And I live and work in the park. My name is Kathy Michael Sponheim. I'm a 4th-generation farmer, and I graduated from Ohio State with a degree in ag business and a minor in crop and soil science. My family history, decades of experience in the ag industry, and formal education taught me there's both an art and a science behind soil health, crop rotation, water management, and long-term agricultural sustainability. When I look at this project, I don't see acreage on a map in Ohio. I see generations of hard work, stewardship, and local food production. For more than 30 years, my grandfather grew vegetables, 20% of the proposed project ground. He was inducted into the Ohio Agricultural Hall of Fame for his stewardship of the land. This isn't marginal land, it's not a roof, parking lot, or warehouse. This is Class 1, highly productive farmland that helps feed families across Ohio. And this area is unique, it's not just corn and soybeans. This pocket of Urbana Township and Champaign County supports vegetables, livestock, and specialty crops that require responsible crop rotation, water management, and healthy soils. Removing nearly 1,000 acres from production reduces the availability of land needed to sustain those rotations and ultimately limits our ability to grow safe local food. The decommissioning plan states returning disturbed land to a similar state as it was prior to commencement. I don't see that possible in this case due to food safety risks. An underground electrical collection system will be left in place. Crushed concrete, silicon, glass, plastic, and metals, all physical fragment contamination hazards. One example is potatoes are grown in direct contact with the soil and are highly sensitive to both physical debris and soil integrity. Even small fragments of plastic or metal introduced during construction, maintenance, or decommissioning could present food safety and processing risks. Food processor companies tend to take a highly risk-based approach to sourcing. Even the potential for this foreign material or soil-related concerns can carry grave implications. It's understandable that these companies are exercising caution and prioritizing sourcing from those who strive to eliminate risks like these. I grew up on Pretty Prairie, I built a home on Pretty Prairie, and I farm on Pretty Prairie. Our rural views and landscapes, something we intentionally chose, would be replaced with industrial infrastructure. I understand the demand for energy is rising in our country. There are acres of parking lots, warehouses, super centers, an abandoned mall where I spent all my money as a teenager. I feel those should be prioritized for solar over farmland activity used to sustain a strong local food supply. This decision is about whether Ohio still values productive farmland, local food systems, and rural communities enough to protect them. Please deny approval of this project and preserve this land for future generations of Ohio agriculture.
Following Thomas Ross will be Cheryl Seegertaler.
Just need to raise your hand for testimony about the gives the truth.
I do.
Please state your name and spell it for the record.
Thomas Ross, TA 10755, Ring Road, Fort Army, Ohio, 45845, Clinton County.
You reside or work in the project?
I'm here to support the Ohio approval of the Hill Climber Solar. Operating engineers are individuals who operate heavy equipment such as bulldozers, excavators, backhoes, forklifts, and so on. The roads and bridges you drive on are most likely built by my members, local 18, along with our fellow union tradesmen and women. Although we do not have agreements signed with RWE Clean Energy, we believe our local signatory contractor will secure this work, thus providing our membership with numerous employment opportunities, earn high wages, healthcare benefits, and frankly, growth because of the solar industry. But you can expect clean energy as a result of this project, also the minimum local agricultural project.
Mr. Ross, your address is Fort Laramie. Can you tell me what that county is? And you indicated you worked in the project area. Can you tell me where you have worked in the project area?
I have 26 counties roughly that I cover. I have members that work every day in that area.
Can you tell me, I mean, you wrote that you worked in the project area, which is a fairly small area. Can you tell me where that is?
We have contractors like Shelley and Sam that do, yeah, I mean, I can't tell you a specific address.
Can you hear me? Is this the first given testimony in the power siting board hearing?
No, it is not.
Okay, times have prior to
Back, please. I made 15 times for the past 5 years.
Are they all solar projects? And your membership house is where you live at?
We have 5 districts in the state. We came out of the Middletown office.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony of the truth?
Yes, please.
Would you please say your name for the record?
Cheryl Siegenthaler, H-E-R-Y-L-S-I-E-G-E-N-T-H-A-L-E-R. I live in 2982 Pisgah in Urbana Township, 4307. Called Pretty Prairie my home since I was in the 6th grade. I have called Pretty Prairie my home since I was in the 6th grade. Got married, we raised our children and one grandchild on our farm. I've heard a lot of talk about farmland today, and I want to tell you something. When I left for college, there were the Randalls had 2 farms. Mr. Darrow had a farm. Mr. Runyon had a farm. Mr. Watson had a farm. My aunt and Uncle Shumwaller rented a farm, and there was only one schoolhouse there, close to 29. 17 years later, after I got finished with college, I returned, and the farmland that we had, raising our hogs, and the Scott farm is still a farm where we used to have Holstein cows. One of the things that I've seen, all of these signs, is a house. There's nothing on the signs about farmland. And so when I go down 3 Mile or Shortcut, there are houses where there used to be livestock. So I don't know whether we're really preserving Pretty Prairie for farmland, or if people are really preserving Pretty Prairie for houses. I have nothing against them, and I'm sure my dad would not be very happy with us because we are hoping that this project goes through, because fossil fuels are going to last forever. We need to look at alternative ways of getting energy. And while they may not be pretty, they are necessary in the future. Thank you.
Any questions from council? Following Karen Bailey, we'll have Mark Runyon. Please raise your right hand.
Okay.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
you please state your name and spell it for the record?
My name is Karen, Karen, and Bailey is Bailey.
Please state your address.
7133 Rumble Road, St. Paris, Ohio.
Do you reside or work within the project area?
I do not.
Thank you. You may begin.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I have read the economic impact report included in the ARDA application to build Hill Climber Solar, and I found it to be neither credible nor meaningful to the people of Urbana Township. An argument for Hill Climber serving public interest cannot be made on the basis of economic impact. RWE considered the area of impact as part of a regional economy defined as the Springfield Metropolitan Statistical to include all of Clark and Champaign County. Using this approach obscures the fact that there will be little to no benefit to the local community in rural Urbana Township, known as Pretty Prairie. The cost of electricity. Hill Climber makes the claim that the project will help lower energy prices and increase energy supply. This is misleading the public into thinking the power will be used locally at a price lower than what they are currently experiencing. Lower electric prices are not a result of intermittent renewable energy. Regarding jobs, RWE projected 3 on-site employees during annual operations, but admits that this number could be 0 if they deploy employees that are working in other facilities. The number of jobs created is less than 3. The long-term economic effect on Urbana Township employment is likely negative, given that some farmers and event venues may not be able to retain viability with the loss of land as well as the current landscape amenity. Spot zoning. The imposition of an industrial use solar and battery energy production in the middle of productive farmland is the equivalent of spot zoning. It will devalue the properties within or near the project area. In a normal procedure, a project like Hill Climber Solar would never have been approved. RWE seems to have gone to great lengths to twist their argument for approval by redefining the local area and economy, implying residents will receive electricity at reduced rates, failing to measure economic injury to local farmers and aggregated enterprises, and ignoring the effect of placing incompatible land use in the middle of prime farmland. These are just several examples that support a denial of RWE's solar project application, in my opinion. Thank you.